Welcome to the Business Blast Podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Wagner. This episode is brought to you by Authors Unite. Authors Unite makes the process of becoming a published, best-selling author as simple as sipping your morning cup of coffee. You can learn more about Authors Unite at authorsunite.com. Now, let's jump into the episode. All right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Business Blast Podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Wagner. Today I have Logan Tyler Nelson with us. He is the founder of Logan Tyler Nelson Agency, and he is a lead generator specialist, A.K.A Podcast guesting agent. So welcome to the show, man.
Hey, thanks a lot, Tyler, for having me on, my man.
Of course. Grateful to have you here. Excited for your answers to these questions. We will dive into the first one. The first one I have for you is, what is the best story from your life that has an underlying valuable message?
I think, honestly, it's just losing my mom at a tender age of 11 years old. I realized that you can still have relationships with people even when they're not around. And what I mean by that is, even though she's gone, I still think about her all the time. And even though she's not presently here with me, I still think about her all the time and what she would do in this situation or what she would do in that situation. And so for me, now that I have that sort of mindset, I use that same mindset for people that aren't gone. They're still alive, but they aren't in the same location as me. So I have relationships with people from all around the world. And I realize we can still have like some really I don't know if I'm allowed to swear, so I'm going to say kick-ass relationships with people. And they're not presently with me, but they're still with me. And I actually had some of the deepest, most amazing conversations with people just on an online basis. And I think it's because they're allowed to be themselves and do their own thing while talking to me. And that is, I think, critical in having a great relationship.
And what is the most valuable piece of information we should know that's within your expertise or industry?
I think it's relationship building. Honestly, it's being able to give and then seeing the success from giving first. Because when you have that sort of like go-giver mindset, I had Bob Berg on my episode of Scratch Your Own Itch, and he's the writer of Go-Giver. And when you have this mindset of like, I can't really be successful until someone else is successful, that is a great byproduct. It's like the same person that goes to the gym and goes, oh gosh, like I gotta work out hard, really hard, and make my muscles sore. But instead, what if you just played basketball with someone, like a kid or something like that? You could translate that same thing over to a kid and teach them how to play basketball and run around with them and show them how to shoot hoops. And you actually end up becoming successful in your journey to become more fit just by helping someone with their own skill that they're trying to learn.
Yes. And it could tie in, but what's your best piece of overall business advice? So not necessarily industry specific.
Set your success. Set your level of success. So if I don't know if you've ever heard, you kind of attract your tribe or you vibe with a certain tribe. It's by setting standards, like the type of standards that you really need in your business. So for example, I've been kind of like loosey-goosey with some of my messaging with people. And I think that if you keep doing that, unfortunately, then you're going to get loosey-goosey results. But if you're like, no, we need to be here at this time, we need to start this time, and we need to end this time, I think it kind of sets the standards of what kind of professional you really are. So being a professional will attract professionals. And I mean, I'm all for like hanging out and doing stuff and just kind of being chill because I know everything ends up working out at the end of the day. But also, if I want to have freedom for myself at the same time, I need to set that standard.
And if you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that be?
I would say start sooner. Don't think too hard. Just go for it.
And kind of going a little bit down a different path, in your opinion, what's the key to happiness?
I think it's actually being fulfilled, working on something that's not so difficult that you're not seeing any progress, but it's difficult enough to where you will see everlasting progress. And that's, I think, a trait in almost every single person that decides to own their own business or run their own businesses. They really love to work, but it's not like the thing that they're actually going to do that makes them happy. It's the work that makes them happy. It's just like a little bit of like, either you get a new client or you get a sales call that goes really well that might lead to a client actually signing up for your service, or maybe you create some content that works out really well that attracts you new leads. I mean, just stuff like that, I think, is just the true definition of happiness when you reach that level of fulfillment.
And what is the best book that you've read, and what was the number one thing you learned from that?
Best book I probably ever read was The Alchemist, actually. Oddly enough, Alchemist just shows you that you need to follow a certain journey for yourself. And your desires are your own desires. And people that are around you, they have their own desires, and they will definitely impact your desires. So you have to constantly search inside yourself and reflect and go, is this true for me in this moment? Is this the best thing that I can do for myself right now? And that's why the whole thinking too hard can sometimes hurt us, is we just got to take action and go forward.
And what is your favorite quote and why?
My favorite quote is "Everything always works out." And I don't even know who it's from. It just kind of popped in my head one day, and I was like, yeah, that quote is so true. Everything always works out. And the worst thing that can happen to us is, well, we die. So why not just have that mindset and remind yourself every hour? It relieves you of a lot of anxiousness that you may have in your life.
Yeah, man, I agree. That was actually a big thing for me as well. Like when I dropped out of school 6 years ago to start my own company, and when I dropped out, I had a lot of anxiety at first, and then I don't know, it was just from reading all these different business, personal development books, but somehow something overcame me, and I started to think too, obviously besides death, what is the worst thing that could happen? And then I realized, I'm like, okay, the worst thing that could happen is I end up back at my parents' place and my business fails and I try to figure out something else. And I was like, it's really not that bad. So I was like, I think I could give this a try. And luckily it worked out, but even if it didn't, I would have just started a new venture. So I like that mindset because it relaxes you and allows you to take risks, because you realize, like you said, literally the worst thing that can happen is death. And other than that, it's just a part of the process. Failure is a part of success. So that is inevitably going to happen. So, but thank you so much for coming on, brother. Really appreciate it. The last question I have for you before we let you go is, where's the best place for people to find and connect with you online?
Awesome. Just head over to LoganTylerNelson.com. I would love to, hang out with you there. And I'm just going to send you just to that one place, just because I know it can be crazy with people. They, send them the Twitter link and the Instagram, and the Facebook, and the LinkedIn. It's just go to LoganTylerNelson.com. Thank you so much.
Perfect, brother. Talk soon.
All right. Talk soon. See you, Tyler.
The podcast you just heard was published with Anchor. Got something you want to say to the creator of this show? Send them a voice message using the Anchor app, free for iOS and Android.